And we are live on Facebook and on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Witchcraft Radio.
Okay, we're on 3 of them. All right.
All right. So, lots of things to talk about today. It's been a minute since we came on. It's been a wonderful couple of weeks getting all settled up here in St. Louis here for me. What you been up to, guys?
I have been doing a lot of decoding and past ancestry research and shadow work. A lot of shadow work. Like, as you know, Brian, my last year has been nothing but shadow work and, improving my lifestyle, changing completely. And that's how we got to where we are today. How about you, Alex?
Well, since our last class, actually, I've been working on a way to something Brian had said in one of our conversations sparked an idea, and I even went forth and bought the books to do so. But I'm making seals for the spirits I've birthed and such, so that I can call them forth easier.
Outstanding. Outstanding. I love it. Would you care to share some of those before we get into the weeds of what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, just show you what I have drawn out.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Outstanding, man. Outstanding. I love the flow lines. I love the concept art. Like, well done, man. Do you want to explain what some of the significance of each of those pieces are? That way the audience gets an idea of how deep down this stuff goes.
Right.
Well, I started simply with the name, and from the name and the day it was created. The day it was created, where it falls under the planetary alignment on that day is its planetary alignment. That's what I felt was right. So that's what I went with. And from there I knew, okay, that would mean the sigils would need to be used with a moon square. So I used a moon square to write my sigils. Which is why there's a moon. It's one of the first things that gets drawn on there after the whole thing is made. And then we go to its gender, which is female. And then it took me some time because I ended up with a migraine just before I got the information. And it just so happened I got the wrong information at the time. But when I got the right information, I was able to conduct a table PDF, and from there I was able to figure out where the zodiac alignment was. And I found the zodiac alignment, which in this case is Leo, and the element is based off of the type of spirit it is, and it's a sylph, which is an air spirit, so it's element air. And I just like the way the circles and the lines flowed. I like pretty things.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
And then there's just a way I have it so that it's ritually built, created. So there's layers. You mentioned layers in one of our conversations, so I was like, all right, well, how could I use layers? And if I do it, certain things, certain inking it at certain times and doing this, and then in a specific order, should bring it all together, and in the end, do what I want or need.
Outstanding. Outstanding. And so then that brings us right into today's lesson, and the topic of the conversation, fun enough, is to figure out how to get that alchemical breakdown so that what you're doing lines up perfectly to the created world, so that you can use the spirit's name once you generate it. We'll keep it off the record, but as soon as you have that, you can follow along with this method, and I'm going to drop a link in the chat, and I've sent it to you back on Facebook, so that way you've got it. Is the Gematria calculator. So it's based on Chaldean numerology.
Okay.
So this is one of those ancient disciplines of numerology that thank God for the interwebs to make that calculation in those charts easy. So like you can just plug stuff in and it'll auto-populate it. And this information you can trust and you can verify in a couple of different ways. And so we'll go over those verifications today. But Michael, if you want to start with your what you found as far as the charts and tables that you created, and then I'll get into the math behind it.
Hold on. All right, like I've been showing people for a while now. There's a lot to like understanding who you are. You've got astrology, you've got physics, you've got biochemistry, you've got alchemy. Lately, I've been working on me alchemically, like my name structure, who I am, things like that. And find the chart here. Here's what it comes out to look like. All right, and so you've got my name, Michael Wayne Williams, and each letter is alchemically picked out according to the specific number. You've got aluminum, fluorine, lithium, oxygen, hydrogen, boron, and magnesium. And so I did that with all three names. And when you add them all up, according to the gross mass weight of each one, because the rate that you see on the bottom is only like a standard rate. So you go in and you look for the mass rate and you get the number, which totals out to 105. What I did though was I went a step further because I was kind of curious, and I took each alchemical signal and I added it up. And when you do this will give this to you. Like I did it the hard way before I realized the actual Gematria calculator will give you these numbers, right? And so I went and I looked up each number totaling alchemically, and it gave me a round number, which I went then and looked up that alchemical symbol, and I got them. And I went and took them and got this. And these are just fun little things you can do, you know. There you go. Michael, the anatomy. And, you know, just like I said, it's just like little fun things you can do, but it was kind of interesting because you can then match these numbers on the right up with tarot cards and numerology of regular playing cards. Like I spoke with you today, Brian, on how to go further, and which in fact Brian did. So let's talk to Brian and see how much further Brian managed to go after my power went out.
All right, yeah, your power outage kind of screwed the pooch on what you were able to accomplish. Ready for the rabbit hole, guys? Okay, so numbers that are on by atomic weight, right? And so what Logan talks about on Decoding Your Reality on his YouTube channel, which is in the description below, is that you find the most common atomic mass of that element. So it's the most prolific, right? So like, what is that element going to be? And that's these little numbers in black down here under these fun, colorful boxes, okay? So the numbers that are on the left, so the 105, I consider those to be yang numbers, those that are the most active that are going into something, right? While the yin, the receptive, is the subtle things that move within the number, right? So that's the 0.83 in this case. So over on the other side here, so we can go into nice big print for those that are not colorblind. I apologize about these colors, but the ones that are for yang numbers, I put in the traditional red coloring for active principles, just to give an overview in the concept. So the 105, the 141, and the 203, in numerology, you add all of those individual numbers up together and you get a reduction, an alchemical concept of reducing form, right? And so we're applying alchemy through the principle of reduction to mathematics, to the atomic weight of these things, to basically get the essence out of who is Michael, right? And so we have the yang number and then the yin number, okay? And then we're going to progress into the second slide. Here we go, is fluorine, right? And so what is really fun, that's the 9th element in the periodic table, okay? And this is its atomic weight by the most prolific mass, okay? And then I went through and did the whole yin and yang reduction to come up with a final reduction of 8 for him, right? So for Chaldean numerology, his number would be 8, right? At the end of the day, all said and done would be 8. In Pythagorean numerology, it's done a little bit different because the Chaldeans didn't use the number 9 in their math. There was one of the episodes that we did earlier that it was talking about 9 was too sacred, right? And I use Pythagorean numerology when I'm creating all of the ritual mechanics because I apply it to planetary significance. So the numbers 1 through 9 are really important because they're planets or they're spheres or they're times of consciousness. And so using the same principles of reduction, right, that we used up here, scroll down a little bit here, and I was comparing them to what would that be? And how do we get that final mass into the same kind of Chaldean reduction with the Pythagorean system? And it reduces down to the number 2, or helium, right? And its final mass reduction, just to test everything out to see what it would become, it's different, right? It becomes hydrogen. So at the end of the day, when you're done with Pythagorean numerology and reduced the weight down to its primary form, this is what it would be. It would be the element of hydrogen. Well, that was different from Chaldean numerology, and I wanted to compare how do I get those differences? How do I understand those differences, right? So we have the reductive numerology, again, because of the atomic mass of Pythagoras over here for hydrogen. It turns out that reducing that is still the same as the principal numerological thing that we did earlier with the Chaldean numerology. It's the same damn number. So you can get it in 2 ways. Save time and just use Chaldean math, people. Just save time. One calculator. Link is in the chat box. But this is how it works, right? They're the same. At the end of the day, when you go back down and you're trying to find the atomic weight of everything after you've distilled or extracted out what is the essence of these things, these principles to look into, we're still getting fluorine, or the 9th element. It's still the same number. It's a giant circle, folks. This is ridiculous. And it's still the first reduction, no matter which way you slice it. And then I was like, okay, well, that couldn't just be once. No, I had to go through and do this for my own damn self, right? And so I was testing what the whole Pythagorean numerological reduction was for mine. One was helium, right? And so when I got the ordinal numbers, which is all of it together, adding up the Chaldean the numerological aspect, not the, we're adding up the 60 to 77 and the 102, not the atomic weights, right? And so by doing that, it reduces down to 5. And then in Pythagorean numerology, it becomes the same thing where it creates this secondary elemental link, right? So you're going through and we're discussing beryllium, and we add its numbers back into the reduction, which then generates lithium. But if we go through final Pythagorean reductions and the Chaldean reductions, add them together, then we get oxygen, right? Reducing that, it becomes the final. It's still the same thing. It's still the same number as it was back up here.
Now, go back down for a minute.
Yeah.
Now doing this, right? Now you found out your final number, which was 8, okay, which was associated with Mercury.
Oh, that was the wrong slide. That was the wrong slide.
Okay.
Yeah, I oopsed. That was the one that I did that had the bad math on it. That was like wrong rabbit hole.
Take it out, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Where did I put it? There we go. Okay. See, it's all about getting these slides right. All right, so we're gonna remove that slide. So we're gonna share screen on this. We're gonna share settings. Nope, not settings. It is present. It is share screen. We do window. We do the PDF. Okay. Now here we go. All right. So we're back in the slide here. So just adding up the Chaldean numerology of what each of the names mean, right? Reduces to helium. Okay. So helium is the Chaldean numerological reduction for the atomic weight. And the name numerologically reduces to boron, right? Or the atomic element of 5. Do the Pythagorean numerology, break it down, and it gives us lithium. So the Chaldean numerological atomic weight of the first one was helium, plus the Pythagorean atomic weight, which was lithium, is still the numerological same as the Chaldean numerology.
Which comes out to 5, Mars.
Right.
Right. So 5 would be your life path.
Right.
All right. And this is this is what I'm trying to say. This is how people can find their life path.
Yeah, and you can do this using just your name and Chaldean numerology, but you can go that extra step. Ridiculousness is to study the atomic weights of the most common that each one of them had in it, right? And you can break that down to its final reduction. So like the final reduction of the Pythagorean numerology, right? So there's the name over here, which is the 5 plus 5 plus 3 equals 4. Atomic weight 9, right? Corresponds to the moon. Anyway, with the atomic weight of the name reducing down to the element 3, right? And then we get that, and we can go looping it back around. But again, numerologically significant. These things are way crazy complex that there's no possible way that the ancients understood that Chaldean numerology could match the atomic weight of creation to the same thing that they're doing. Unless they had that kind of understanding of the atoms or a working knowledge of atomic mass. But when they're talking about in numerology that these are the numbers of creation, they're fucking literal. They are the numbers of creation. And so whatever name that we plug into these calculators, right? So here is the screen share for that. And present, screen share, window, this. So gemetrinator.com. Whatever we plug into this will produce numbers. Will produce number string.
And yeah, this is a good tool to have too.
Yeah, use this, and then it was let's see, then it was RCS.
Okay, I don't know what's happening here.
RCS periodic table. This place.
Yes.
Okay. So
is this the next place?
yeah, rsc.org/periodic-table. But the nice thing is that it goes through and it breaks down the atomic mass. So it's the most prolific. And this is where you find it. It's in the oxidation states and isotopes. And this is really, really a neat thing that is a rabbit hole that I wasn't expecting to go so deep. And to be able to compare and create a proof using Pythagorean numerology simultaneously with Chaldean numerology to test what happens if you add them together. It's still Chaldean numerology. Like at the end of the day, Chaldean numerology is the foundation block for this kind of work, for this reality, for this dimension, right? Because we're using atomic mass here.
Right.
So when I do spell work and things of the past, right, I'm using numerology because I'm using it on the psychic and the spiritual plane. So I'm creating in the non-tangible, right? So if you use your number sets using that calculator, where'd I put it? So many screens. Calculator. Just a second, guys.
18 different tabs open.
Yep. Yeah.
This is tab 82 for me. So
All right. But let's say that we were doing hair, right? Because that was a video that Logan put out, right? And we can reduce that down, but it gives different numbers down here at the bottom, right? And it doesn't matter which way you add it up together if you pay attention to the ordinal number, right? And so what we would do is we would use the magic square with the number 9 in the center, or the number 9 in the top right corner, the number 9 in the top left corner, the number 9 in the bottom left or the bottom right, depending on which way we wanted to bring in heavenly influences, celestial influences, earthly influences, or spiritual influences to affect a specific condition. And fun thing about math is that there are 9 of those squares in a 3x3 grid. So if you don't repeat any numbers, you're able to put those things into form. It's really fun. But this will be a mathematic thing that you can use for your practices. And it works. And it works great. And there's more things that we're going to have to try when it comes to, what shiny new things can we do?
indeed.
Did I explain that well enough, guys? Did I, use the Chaldean? That's essentially what that stuff comes down to.
If you can figure out how to do that, be good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to break the numbers down. I don't like how to figure all that out. Just follow the the ordinal number, right?
Yeah, the ordinal number. So you type that number into the chat box, into the search box.
Mm-hmm.
Here, like where is it? It's here. Whatever it is.
If you're really curious on how to really work this, go over to Logan's channel, Decoded, and he walks you through it. Like a couple of his videos will walk you through. He's decoded a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've watched almost every video of his, honestly.
Decode Your Reality YouTube.
This guy is phenomenal. I'm telling you. He's great.
Yeah. There's so much fun stuff in here. Decoding a spell is fun. That was great.
Oh, I watched that one too. That was great.
Yeah. I like it when I get notified of these things. The Astro Alchemy Decoded was good. Transhumanism Decoded. I got to watch that one still.
I seem to catch him halfway into his lives every time. like his live stream will come on. Usually they're like 2-3 hours, and I catch them like an hour and a half in. Every time I don't get notifications from YouTube for like an hour and a half. So
But this, this is why the planetary interactions, the planetary stuff is important, because it reinforces where this stuff comes from and why this stuff is to be used. It shows like the divine significance of when a song comes on the radio, you can decode that shit real quick and you can figure out what element of something is speaking to you. And in the case that he showed the other day, it was hair, right? And so we went through and we did that again. We broke down the name, got the alchemical numbers behind it, and it'll be interesting to see how it can be applied in other ways. But when the song randomly pops onto the radio and it fits your moment, pay attention.
Right? Well, I mean, it just fits into them charts that I gave you with astrology and how it, like how it's in your DNA and like all that. Like, I mean, I just spent a year doing all that, everything, astrology, DNA, like alchemy, biochemistry. Like there's so much to it, and it's interwoven. And when you can pick these things out, like you can take these and put them into your craft or into whatever you're doing and get an in-depth holistic life.
Yeah. People ask about, or one of the things that we were talking about is that, oh, good, I found your chart, that you were getting everything into the right position at the right time, right? And since I don't have to share my janky notes and I can actually share the chart that you created, Alex, here we go. And we can go through this a little bit. The planets change 4 times a year. The planetary significance and the astrological significance, right? And so as folks are going in and getting these things done, here's a quick thing that you can use and pause.
You're back.
Yeah. All right. And so what this chart does is it lets you calculate between spring equinox and summer solstice. So that would be the springtime, the summer solstice to the autumn equinox to the winter solstice, and the winter solstice to the spring equinox. These planets change. You could look at them in favorable aspect or unfavorable aspect, right? Depending on what state of creation you want it to be, right? So another term for what you do than force wielding. This is celestial energy. This is foundational stuff. But I don't have a better name for it. I don't think that Alex fell in. I think everybody fell in. But no, I don't have a better term for it. Where'd you go, Alex? You fell in. There you go.
Yeah, here we are.
Welcome back.
Awesome. I'm really proud of this table, honestly.
Yeah, you did really good.
It was painstakingly, like, to do this on a mobile phone, sit there constantly scrolling over. Okay, did I make sure I get that one correct? Okay. And then going in between the chat head and oh man. But I'm proud of the overall achievement of it.
Yeah. It's excellent, man. And it's super useful for folks because this is the primary times tables. It's like if you're working through the hours 1 through 12, this gives you that link to figure out, okay, well, what does it mean? Where at is it going to be on the body? So if you need to bring in different types of energy throughout different types of the year, you can do it with this. And then if you're going to be creating a spirit, like we were talking about, you figure out its name and you figure out its number square and the relationship of that number square to other things. And it's those tables I was looking for. So that's why it's, if you hear me quiet, that's, I was looking for that for the, see, your T5 is shattered and you walk anyway.
I'm back. Sorry.
So hopefully everything's good there, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Family stopped by. Dog attack.
And so here is that, let's see here. This is that chart that Michael made here. And so these are the deeper rhythms. The tapping into the stuff with numerological significance, and based on the time of the year, based on those planetary grids, you can get specific sigilizations done so that you can conjure up, create with, or what have you, those next levels of development.
Right.
This way you don't miss when you're doing your spells. You don't miss when you're doing whatever it is that you're up to.
Right. Everything is a vibration, and this is where the Hermetic principles come in. Because everything is a vibration, which is a frequency, we are prone to that. And so when we understand how that works, we understand a lot. Especially when we're working with things that are not seen.
Right. And that's what's cool, is just because it isn't seen in one capacity doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
You know, and if anything else, the mathematical correlations between the atomic mass of stuff and the Chaldean understanding that these are the numbers of creation should not exist. Historically speaking, there should be no overlay between those two times, but yet there it is. And so plugging whatever it is that your names are going to be in that calculator and using the planetary grids, the planetary squares that you can find in Agrippa or in the big book of mathematical squares and the Encyclopedia of Occult Squares, those become your calculators. Those become, you want to manifest stuff on a calculator? Like, fucking go for it.
Every phone has.
Yeah. You know, that becomes a simple enough calculation that you can do. And then if you get the phone generating images and what have you in different colors while it's calculating out its sigils, like you can go and find chaos magic sigil creators online. In fact, we might have to do a thing about doing that, but that way you can generate those images that would flow into the talisman that Alex has created. You know, so that way it's all related. So you can use those to generate your numbers, to generate the sympathy flow, so that as that vibration occurs into that physical object, you get manifestation on the outside.
Right.
And so it really does quite change the perspective of when we make a talisman, it's not just intangible shit. It's that becomes a circuit.
Right.
That becomes a sigil that's exactly like tuning a radio frequency of creation. And we can make that specific to our outcome. And that's exactly what Alex was doing today. Omen Star was doing when we were interacting with planetary energies. And how do you get these intangible things into a specific form? Well, it becomes sacred geometry, which again goes back to an ancient understanding that should not exist as an understanding of these concepts of atomic things and intangible properties and all of this shit in a very specific way. It's like, if this is being talked about now for the first time as these are proofs in our channel here, supplementing what is also going on in the industry, right? That's not insignificant, folks. That's connecting an archway through time that should not otherwise be possible.
Right.
So what we put into light here, under the right conditions of meditation, the ancient ones could actually probably manifest an understanding of. They could attune themselves to the light vibration. So what colors we're wearing, what things we're doing when we present on television and things like that, populate into human collective subconscious, and you can separate that out using your meditations. You can use your creation to facilitate extra creation, so that way you can literally make spirits come to pass in new forms. And that's exactly what Alex is working on.
I just like having friends to stay around. And this is a way to make sure they stick around and help me when I need help.
Okay. What do you think of that, Mike?
When people say they see ghosts, I wonder it is a frequency that we see. Only with environmental conditions are right. What do you think? You're right. I mean, but in certain ways, that mist, that form, that apparition could suddenly appear, because it's like your television, like a glitch. Like, they can use that energy to manifest themselves in a way that you see them.
Cut through the veil, yeah.
Yeah. Because they are a vibration, a frequency, and energy, because they are without this flesh suit, like we will one day be, they have the ability to manipulate other said energy. Time isn't a relevance to them. They go by frequency and energy and ley line, all that other
This
stuff.
is why your phone dies or the camera dies.
Right. When you walk, when you walk into a room and your cell phone just goes from like 70% power to like nothing. Something just drains your energy. It's most likely going to show itself to you, or move something, or shut something, or pop something open unaware, and you're probably going to run, because that's most people's reactions. Me, I'm like, okay, show me more. Where are you at?
And this is one of those cool things. Like, what could we do to enhance that, right? What augmentative technologies could we do to produce more viable, visible manifestations? Like, there was a buddy of mine wanted to create a 4-pillar electromagnetic grid that was built on his conjuring box. Like, he built one. He was using Palo Mayombe mixed with some technology. Right, he was an initiate in that idea, and he had those things in that device that he was working on, so that people that were part of that system would be able to conjure from that system, and they would be able to get more tangible, like, environmental distortions. And so that's something that we can produce in a new kind of way when we go out into the field. Like, we could create a spirit generator box, if you will, based on technologies and vibrations, if we can figure out the right frequency and rhythms and stuff like that. But then you also have to look at things like the Silva method of self-hypnosis. If you listen to the right frequency, you can jump your consciousness state into a level 5 alpha state, which is essentially the military grade version of psychic capacity. Like, you are programming your mind to be at that higher state. And so you hit the frequencies for your alpha state, you can reality bend, right? And then if you supplement that with the technology of, like, the Montauk Project, right? Like the crazy shit that they made a monster on a little island somewhere because they plugged a psychic into the fucking whatever chair that they had. Like, what happens if we get conjurers doing that on purpose?
That sounds like an interesting story.
There was a YouTube that I shared in the group the other day on it.
Huh. That's wow. Okay. This psychic willingly did this, right?
Well, it was a military project, so I don't really know how
They were paid.
Right. I don't know how willing it would
be. I mean, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
I mean, we can roll the clip if you want.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Why not?
Let's see.
I don't know. We might get.
Huh?
Where's it from? We might get copyrighted. I don't know how this stuff
Yeah.
works. I ain't did it in like forever. Roll it. I don't know.
Well,
Take a
no,
chance.
well, I gotta find the link first. With
Live on the edge, man. Sorry, that's my Viking side coming out of me.
no, I missed it. I didn't even hear what.
Go ahead. I was being goofy.
Did the group get deleted?
What group? Where? What?
Ours.
The sorcery one?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I was just on there.
Oh no, it's
Oh no,
here.
there it is. Okay, there we go.
I was gonna say what we do.
Fuck, I don't know, man.
We
But
told the
yeah,
key.
if there were these types of technologies, right,
Mm-hmm.
and we could tap into it, why not?
Right.
Under
No,
the circumstances, yeah.
it got redacted. Who did I share that from? Penny. Bradley.
Got redacted. What do you mean got redacted?
If she, the gal that might have the lady that
Oh.
posted it the first time, she might have deleted the post.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go back to her profile. Nope, there it is. It's a YouTube channel called The Y Files.
Hmm.
It's called The Y Files. And so I'll drop a link in the chat here. 1,000 tabs open. This thing.
Is that it? Just 1,000?
No, that's the nope. That's the Montauk Project. I just had the thing. No. Man. There we go. Nope, we're not going to watch it because I'm going to send you all down rabbit holes, and we're going to do that. And boom, there it is. Link is in the chat. Well, you guys can watch that later, and I'll send it over to you in Messenger. But yeah, it's pretty nuts with what they were doing with technology and basically the government's version of Stranger Things, but only the IRL version of it on a little island off of New York.
That doesn't surprise me though when you look
Upside down
the world.
Well, yeah, you put somebody in an alpha state, and you got something that's augmenting the biorhythms and the waves that are coming off of the individual.
It's just what was it considered spiritual biohacking?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like a military grade biohacking.
5G. 5G.
Precursor to 5G. I'm down for it, but it's a really fascinating YouTube clip. So I recommend folks click it's in the chat, so the people that are streaming by find that link, click it, watch it. It was crazy. I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but this is one of those CIA documents declassified, so it's not a conspiracy theory.
So like the MUFON files?
I was going to say, there's been a lot of things that up till just a few years ago was conspiracy that are no longer conspiracy, like the UFO from the government. Now that they say, you know what I mean? Now them building Space Force, like
I doubt
aliens have been working with our government for a long time.
advantage.
Everybody's worried about them coming. They're already here, guys.
Right. They're the people making the Space Force. They're the people training you. You never know.
You know, I mean,
But avoid but I'm not so much worried about what's in space. I'm more about what's in the dimensions, because what we're fucking around with here, the vibrations of the planetary rhythms and the creation of these kinds of things to bring out entities of our own construction, right? Well, in some reality over here, that thing exists. And we're trying to create the resonance between those particles so that that thing that exists over here can also exist over here simultaneously. So what it does over here, it acts upon this tangible reality. So as it exists over here on this tangible reality, what we've got is a manifestation. That's the principle that we're operating with. So when we're summoning this stuff up, or we're creating from the aether or whatever it is, we're folding space-time using math, using science, using compression. It's the singularity that we create. So basically a little mini black hole, little warp through space-time, right? In a ritual circle, because we're in trance. We've got all the right ingredients that calculate for each step of the vibration as that vibration goes from an intangible through tangible meaning. So that means talismans, that means shapes, that means colors, that means sounds, that means physical objects that were once alive, like herbs or stones and things like that.
You know, there's a reason our ancestors did everything astrologically. Watched the times, you know, knew when to plant, knew when to harvest, knew when to, you know, they knew when to do things according to astrology. Why? Because without this flesh suit, to where we go. You know what I mean? Like we go, like we have free roam. We don't have a weight weighing us down. So like they knew that by the back of their hand with numbers, because the world is nothing but numbers, they knew how to operate. They had a knowledge that was way above ours today. It's just been stamped out. Thank you. In the Dark Ages, bastards. That we're just now discovering again today.
And there's still people trying to keep us in the Dark Ages, though. Like I found.
There are, and that's the fight between good and evil. People talk about it all the time. It's here. It's already here. It's been here for years, decades, centuries, millennia.
Yeah, if this is the fight for light against dark, then if the dark is ignorance and stupidity and violence and all the bad things in life, fuck them. Let's fight against
extortion and
sure. You got no problems going up against that shit. You know, but yet we're the evil ones because we know how to manipulate the fabric of reality. Like, fucking right, it's the only weapon we've got to defend ourselves against the corruption of the physical world.
Hey, I just found out, like, I'm Viking, I'm Celtic, so that magic thing, like, that's in my veins. Like, now I understand why I like magic and why I'm pulled to the paranormal outer world stuff.
Yeah, and it's a deep spiritual connection, and when you awaken that to the blood, you know, get your DNA done. MyTrueAncestry.com. Get your genome loaded up. Like 23andMe was the least expensive way to get it sourced.
I just did it.
I'm gonna probably see if I can't get it done here shortly.
I have ties that go all the way back to the Neanderthal. I'm like, what? Okay, I'm old. Brian said I'm an old soul, man. I am really an old soul. Like, yeah.
Now we go back to the last UFO landing.
What Bob say?
He only goes back to the last UFO landing.
1967.
I was born in 61, so it must have come on the ship.
He was born in 61. It says comes down off the ship.
So you were born in 61 but arrived in 67. I see how it is. I'm on to you now.
He's one of the children of the other world. What are you talking about?
Right?
We're not allowed to stay.
He shouts, "We're not allowed to say." Love it.
That sounds like something they'd say.
Yeah, right. Well, there's a lot we can't talk about on a live channel and all these platforms, but
no, there is a lot out there that people just got to discover for themselves. I mean,
yeah,
you know, and that's what this journey is. It's discovering. That's why you do your shadow work. It's discovering who you are, your inner you. You know, and you two get together and you become one. Like that's the whole marriage thing that they fucking took out of fucking proportion. Like it's the Egyptians knew it very well. It's, you know, you becoming one with yourself. You are a god because you create. Like, you know the way your life's going to go because you have power to transform it that way. Some would make you think you don't have that power, but really you do. Don't want to think you don't.
Yeah.
Thank you. Who was that?
I am Kai.
Oh, I am Kai. Thank you, I am Kai. Just heard. Thank you.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's one of the guys from Bruce's channel.
Okay.
Bruce's, yeah, you guys, if you guys are into like the ufology community like I am, and you guys follow alienated stuff and UFOs and what happens outside, like with the sun and the moon and stars, and Bruce Sees All is a great channel to go to. Like, he will keep you up to date. I just found out today that there's a piece that broke off the sun. Made a little tornado. Yeah.
Oh, solar flare. Yeah.
Like, things are getting active in the cosmos, man. People don't look up anymore. They're too busy looking down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? No, stop that. Look up.
Guilty as charged.
And it's almost like they did it on purpose. You know what I mean? As long as the world has got their intention in that or something else, they're not going to be worried about what's going on up there.
It's how the government disconnects us from nature. Here's something new to feast your eyes on.
Right. You know, and that's the thing. Like, I am Kai is talking about, like, they're you bringing the government into a conversation over here, right? It's like we're talking about dimensional shit, and they're talking about nuclear war, and it's like, well, let's just yeet ourselves into a different dimension. So if they blow up, we'll be fine.
We all have a path here. We're all, like I keep telling you, I was born for such a time as this. We were all born for such a time as this.
Right.
It's just many don't know where they're going or what they're doing because, again, come the dark ages, greed and power and stranger things happen. You know what I mean?
No, just it reminds me when people talk about nuclear war. It reminds me back to when this is the only piece of history I have that's worth a damn. I feel from my roots, and that's the Gardnerian, what they did to stop World War II from entering England.
Yeah.
And now that's just now where it's like history is repeating again, and it's like it's almost time to do that stuff again.
Oh, there was somebody that once said history repeats itself
until you get it right.
And it does. If you look back, way, way back, the earth has repeated itself a couple times. Like, we're not the first go around.
Right.
We won't be the last go around. Like, it's the way the world works. It's the way the cosmos work. Like, you don't take care of the planet, well, the planet's not going to take care of you. And that altar right there, it's proof. I'm only here because the gods, Gaia keeps me alive. Sure ain't me.
And if Putin goes and blows a hole in it, we've all fucked ourselves. So, like,
again, it's greed.
It is, and that shit needs to be like not a problem. Like, there needs to be whatever needs to happen so that the world keeps on spinning, and these fucking social changes, these mass problems that are being caused by the current ruling elite. I mean, I look around, that's not me, that's not my friends, that's not you guys, that's not the people that follow this channel.
I am Kai said it best. Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Yep.
And most of history has been altered, not deleted. They're not dumb enough to delete it. They altered it. It's called redaction.
Not for their lack of trying.
Yeah. So figuring out how we can unfuck ourselves. I mean, and that's why the Academy is whatever we can make it to be, right? And this is how we can take this model and expand it. We can expand it in Pennsylvania and up in Michigan simultaneously as here in St. Louis. I found a coffee shop yesterday that I was, the lady and the manager of the garden store that I went to. She's like, you need to get yourself a coffee shop. First, find yourself a coffee shop. And then I was talking to the lady that owned Peace, Love, and Coffee was the name of the coffee shop downstairs, but there was a gift store up in the front that sold all the stones and all the pieces of magic. Like instead of having all of your herbs in one shop, instead of having all of your stones in one shop, these are separate shops. And so the one yesterday, one was just a stone shop, and one was an herb shop that's got a list of shit I haven't seen in years. So connecting these stores together and their customer base is going to be something that we can do as Academy members, so that way we can go through and find out what exists within those communities and act as a supplement, so that we add back to where we serve, so that we don't take away from it like these whatever's going on up there at the top end of the world, and they're taking out and taking away, or removing or corrupting or doing all of this shit. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to add back in, trying to add information resources, right? So if we get together in that coffee shop, Jim can come down and talk about his glassware.
Right.
Alex can come down and talk about his music. We can.
I was talking to my friend about
possible
coffee shops in his area here up here in Michigan. He's all like, well, because I told him what we were trying to do. He's like, well, I don't know nothing about that, but I'd actually learn for something like that. If coffee shop, he don't drink coffee or drink anything really much anymore, but he drinks hot chocolate. I serve that at coffee shops.
Yeah, they do. There's a place called Shameless Grounds.
I found one for sale for like $7,500. It has a coffee shop and a little apartment upstairs.
That's fantastic.
That's in Jackson, Michigan. Yep.
That's great.
I want a coffee shop, but one like that's in Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's what me and my girl were talking about. Because we're in Michigan and it's legal here in Michigan. Why not?
Well, and that's going to be that's a thing with the legalized marijuana and stuff in a lot of these states now, that it would be great if we could figure out a way to interact with our state and local legislatures, so we have a place where people can come and get rides to and from. They can have their experience there, but then we can talk about it afterwards. We can extract the divine knowledge from when people are in state, when they're smoking their ganja, like we did at the beginning of our presentation today. So if people hadn't noticed, I'm a little bit slower. It's a green day.
Yay. I love that, man.
Right?
Big fan.
Yeah. I like the fact that they switched their drummer with a little-known punk band from Northern Cal called Pansy Division.
I've always liked Green Day.
Yeah. That's good. But anyway, I got nothing else to say about this issue other than fucking use the gematria and calculate that shit using Chaldean numerology, and you don't have to worry about anything else.
And go check out the channel Decode Your Reality. Logan is smart. I'm telling you.
I got that right here.
Excellent.
Go check out that channel.
Decode Your Reality is an excellent source. And again, I'll drop that link if I can find where I put my YouTubes. Okay. There we go. Decode. All right. So this is why he gets credit for the. Be sure to like, subscribe, share the Academy. If you got any useful information out of this today and you want to get together in your local city and you want to be able to have interactions with us here, then we can start bringing multiple forms of the Academy together. Like you could get a group together and we could get panels going in different cities simultaneously interacting in Zoom. So what becomes a local environment also is a virtual one, which becomes a bigger collective.
Here is the.
I keep getting this like the Atlantic bookstore feeling off the coffee shop idea, and I like it.
I dig that. What's this? Cool.
That way, they want to keep up with the ufology and whatnot. Like I said, Bruce Cesal is a great place to go. Links in there. Check him out.
That's great. Well, thank you, everybody who's stayed with us for this last hour. Stay safe. Don't be evil.